Have you found yourself in a situation where you're doing all of the things, all of the marketing for your business, and your clients are not exactly rolling it? And it's like crickets out there, even though you are doing the actions, but the clients are coming in and you're having all of the doubts. If so, this episode of the Profitable Nutritionist Podcast, my friend, is absolutely for you. I am bringing on my student in the program. Her name is Allie Jones, and she is going to be telling you all about her story from feeling like, oh my gosh, nobody is paying attention. The clients are not coming to holy cow, fully booked in a very short amount of time with a wait list, and now bringing on other practitioners to serve those clients so that she can continue to take them on in a very short amount of time each week. By the way, she has a very condensed schedule. I'm giving away too much. All that to say that Allie is going to share with you exactly how she has done that, how she has built her nutritional therapy practitioner practice into something truly wonderful that is changing a lot of people's lives. And she did it after feeling like nobody was paying attention and the clients weren't coming and nothing was working. So she's going to tell you exactly how she shifted that, what changed for her, and I cannot wait for you to hear her story. So take it away, Allie. Okay. Allie Jones, welcome to the Profitable Nutritionist Podcast. Allie and I were just talking before we pushed record, and we were doing a little we're both so excited to share the highs, the lows, the goods, the bads, all of the takeaways that come from being a business owner. And Allie has a lot to share about this. It's going to be so fun. Okay, so you know how I do this. I'm just going to give you the floor. Who are you? Tell us a little bit about your journey, and we'll see where the conversation goes.
Yeah. I'm Allie Jones, and my business is called Restored and Well. And Restored and Well technically started, 2023-ish. But my journey really started in 2020. I got very, very sick in the midst of COVID. I remember people saying, "Oh, COVID's the worst. 2020 is the worst year." And I'm like, it so is, but also I'm dying on top of it. So it's actually really, really bad. So 2020 was a hard year for me. Got very sick after having my first son. And then when that happened, I went to every specialist I could go to, every person I could possibly find to try to find answers, and could find literally nothing. They did every test. Everything was coming back negative. They were like, you're fine, you're fine. So I ended up giving up on Western medicine the end of 2020 and decided to kind of get into my own head. I'm like, do my own research, listen to podcasts, all of that. Found holistic nutrition, medicine, spent all of 2021, I quote unquote, healing myself. And it took a long time, but I've discovered the magic of taking care of yourself and root cause nutrition. So then 2022, I tried my hand at blogging, and Andrea, I did. And
Don't we all?
I was like, I like to write. I'm going to write about food. And that was horrible. So
The
don't
hardest
recommend it.
thing in the whole world. Can we just say it? It's so hard.
Oh my gosh. So gave up on
People
that.
that
And
write and produce blogs that are visually appealing and engaging, I commend you. I just do. It's hard.
I was like, kept looking at my husband going, this wasn't supposed to be this difficult. Why am I doing this? So I stopped. Gave that up, and then decided to go to, through the NTA, became a nutritional therapy practitioner.
Mhm.
So graduated there in 2023, really started my business probably end of 23, beginning of 24, and I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I thought this was going to be the easiest journey of all time. I'm like, everybody's going to want to pay me money and throw money at me to
You can fix
solve
all their problems, of
because
course.
I can. So I'm like, why are people just giving me money? So yeah, if that answers your question, that's kind of the short of it. Yeah.
So before 2020, you like holistic health and wellness was not on your radar at all. What was on your radar? What were you doing? What's your past life professionally?
Writer.
Okay.
So I got my bachelor's in biblical studies and was writing books. So that's why I did think blogging would be the natural progression. So I published my first book right after I graduated college. And so that's was what I thought I was going to continue doing. And then I got sick, and that kind of changed everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the blogging. I'm like, well, nutrition, writing, I have to blog.
Yeah, of
And
course.
it sucked.
What part of blogging was like the hardest for you? Let's just jam on this for a second before we move on. I don't want to deter anyone from blogging because I think it is an incredible way to take ideas in your head and try to figure out how do I explain this to somebody that doesn't already know this, or how do I explain this in a different way? I think it's a great exercise, and I think all roads lead to Rome. So doing that will get you closer to something that will work. But blogging in and of itself is really hard. I also just have thoughts that SEO and that is just changing so much with AI because people aren't necessarily
Absolutely.
being sent to websites anymore for information. They're just being given the information in
Yeah.
from AI in a search. So I think like that's a very different strategy anyway. But what part was hard for you?
Well, I mean, SEO and all that aside, which is extremely difficult in today's day and age, for me, it was actually that writing has always been a creative outlet for me. And I was now writing more with my left side of my brain, and I was having to write more strategically. And I hated that. So I think it was actually just the difference of I didn't like writing about food. I wanted to write about creative things. So that was my
Mm,
disconnect. I'm
got
like, this
it.
is terrible. This is no longer fun. And now I hate writing. So I need to stop.
Got it. Okay, absolutely. Got it. So that brings us to end of 2023, beginning of 2024.
Yes.
Everyone's going to pay you all the money to fix all of their problems because you can, obviously.
So excited. Yeah, I was like, this is about to be the best journey of my whole life. And I had never really had never started a business before. So my husband had run businesses, and I'm like, look at him, he's doing it. If he can do it, I can do it. Like, let's be real. Um,
Yeah, which is absolutely true. And also we have to laugh at ourselves. Yeah, love it.
um, so yeah, my initial thought was, and maybe this is a thing that a lot of I think people in the health world come into with there's the heart to help people. I mean,
Mhm.
everyone just wants to help people feel better. My heart was um, not to make a bunch of money necessarily. I just wanted to help people and make a living doing it. And so I get into the, especially at the early phases of my business. So my heart was people out there are hurting. I was hurting and nobody was there to help me. And I had to do it myself. I had to put my, at least I didn't this is something I think about all the time. At least I didn't know about the people who could help me. Oh, if only I would have
Yeah.
known, if only they would have told me, because I had to help myself. So my thing was, I'm going to tell a bunch of people and I'm going to help them and they're going to pay me money. So initially, when I started my business, my prices were, oh, Andrea, you would just cringe. You would cringe so hard.
I
Um,
won't cringe because it gets you to the point where like all roads lead to Rome, like we said. So yeah, let's talk about it.
I think that my prices were, I told my husband I was going to charge like $400 for 3 months or something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
I'm going to work with people. They'll pay me $400. And the thing is, when I was going through my program, that actually wasn't like a crazy thing, like a crazy number to throw out. Like most people were saying they were charging between 500 and 600 for 3 months of one-on-one coaching.
Yes. They're not
And
still
this,
in business today.
the,
But
so
yes.
I'm like in this situation thinking like, okay, I'll start low and then I'll work up to $600 for 3 months. Um, and so that was actually very difficult to sell. If anything, it maybe one here, one there, and they were the worst clients of all time, and did not have a fun time with that. So in fact, I just was like, all I want is experience. I want to help people. So then I start working with people for free to satisfy the itch of wanting to help people.
Yeah.
And I would say personally that that was probably one of the hardest things that I did in my business, which I don't know if you can even say that's business because it was free, but it sucked the life out of me a little bit because I would create these protocols, I would come up with these plans, and they would do nothing with it. Like I would spend hours and hours just out of the just love of my heart because I want these people to feel good and feel better, and then I'd check in on them 3 4 weeks later. And these were the $400 clients too. Like it was the $400 clients, it's the free people, just trying to get. I'm like convincing myself I'm getting exposure. Like, okay, like I'm gonna get exposure, I'm gonna get practice. But instead, I just felt like sad that nobody's doing anything I'm giving them, and they weren't seeing results, and they weren't seeing changes because they weren't doing, not because my protocol wouldn't work, but because
Mhm.
they couldn't, get themselves to do it. So That's when I decided something isn't working. This was at some point in 2024. Something isn't working. And I was in the TPN at this point, and you're constantly yelling at people to, come up with she yells nicely. She yells nicely. It's a nice yell. Um, we got to have firm price. We got to make sure that we stick to the price that we decide. Um, so I went back to the drawing board, and I told my husband, my little business coach at the time, I'm like, I need to come up with an offer that's better, that I can charge something amazing for. He's like, okay. So I had a professor in the NTA who was like, one of our teachers. And I remember particularly her saying that she had just raised her prices to $12.50. Because I think when you're in school too, and you're going through this process, numbers are really sticky in your head, because you're trying to
Yeah.
figure out, like, what is everybody else charging? What am I supposed to charge? Like, this is stressful. I don't want to overcharge. I don't want to undercharge. And I remember her saying, like, I'm raising my prices to $12.50 for 3 months. And she was saying it to the class, like this could be you too, like you could get your prices to $12.50 for 3 months. And I remember thinking back on that, and I remember being like, $17.50, that's what I'm going to do. Because if my professor was raising her prices to $12.50, then I'm just going to go crazy, and $17.50 is what I'm going to charge. And
Just
that
insane. Craziness. Yes. Love it.
felt like the craziest thing I could ever do,
Yeah.
especially at the time. Like, I could not imagine somebody paying me that much money, which now, of course, looking back, I'm like, Allie, come on. Hindsight's always 2020.
Yeah.
So yeah, I decided to come up with this offer. The offer was basically the same. I mean, it wasn't that different than what I was doing before, but I just kind of like really finalized it, made sure that everything was good. And yeah, 1750 was the number I came up with.
Okay. So this is prior to joining TPN, or this is after you joined TPN and you're going through stage one and
I'm
creating
going
your offer?
through TPN at this point.
Okay.
I'm already in it. I think I just decided that I needed to take what you were saying seriously about kind of thinking bigger about the price point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because it's scary. It's really scary to think that somebody would pay you thousands of dollars to do
Mm-hmm.
something you're very qualified to do.
Mhm, mhm.
Still scary.
It's really it is really interesting because, and I always say this, but I'll just say it again, I think that being a business owner and making decisions like that just brings up every insecurity you could ever have about yourself. It's just the fastest personal development track ever.
Yes.
It's like, whoop, okay, unworthy, not an expert enough. Who am I? All of it. It comes up so fast, and that's why people don't do it. And that's why people don't stick with
Mm,
it, because it requires a lot of work on yourself and examining your own beliefs and sticking with it, and like
yeah.
really truly doing that. It is so much easier to just not. It really is. But it's so worth it to stick with it
Absolutely.
and to keep doing it, which you obviously have done. So I love that. I also just love like thinking about the different ways that people get into this work and different backgrounds that they have. So you didn't have any background in running a business. You didn't have any background, it doesn't sound like, in selling or in like
Mm,
pricing and doing this before. You've never done it. Some people
never.
come into it with already having that skill set. Like some people have already had positions where they either were working in a company where they did sales, or they had their own business, or have had a network marketing business, or some other, like they
Mhm.
already have a framework for that and already have like skills in that area, and then their deficiency, for lack of a better word, but like their edge to work on will be like something completely different. But we all have something, like we all, whatever it is, it could be different, but we all have something where we'll go, oh, okay, so I'm gonna need to work on that now, gonna need to examine
Yes.
a little bit of growth in this area or this one. Okay, so for you it was pricing and like delivering that value and having people pay for it, it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, and just to go off of what you're saying, like you're so right that everybody brings different things into it. I think before starting a business, I had always, this sounds so princess of me, but I had always believed in myself, Disney princess. Like I really did. Like I believed I could do anything. I'm like, that's why I think when I came into this, the, it was like almost just this assumption that the flowers were just going to grow around me and things were just going to happen. Um, And the lack that I had was the strategy and like the knowing how, like, I had never run a business before. Like, how do you price things? How do I come up with an offer that, how do I make this profitable? Honestly, like, how do I make it so I'm not giving things to people for free or very low cost when I'm putting all this money in or all this effort into it?
Mhm.
Um, but when I decided to raise my prices, and I think you had said this in the TPN and it really stuck with me, which was people pay attention to what they pay for.
Yeah.
So I was like, my experience up to that point was people weren't paying attention. Like, that was
Yeah.
my problem. And it was attracting, my worst clients. It was causing me to not see result for my clients, not to see results because they weren't paying attention to these protocols I spent hours working on. Um, so I'm like, yes, it'll be nice to make some more money. That would be great. But also, truly from the bottom of my heart, I feel like I'm doing this for my clients. Like, I need to
Mhm.
charge somewhat of a good price that they will do what I tell them. They'll take it seriously. And that was a big shift for me. Yeah.
I think too, what's coming up for me to want to like press on a little bit there
Mm-hmm.
is that price, like there isn't a price, there isn't one investment amount that people pay attention to. Like I think that people, like business owners in general, for sure, wellness professionals spend so much time trying to find that right offer. Like what's the right price point? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and Allie's bringing up something we say a lot, which is when people pay, they pay attention, and it's true. When people pay, they pay attention. So then our brain's like, okay, but what is like, what's the Goldilocks? It's not too much. It's not too little. It's like, what's that
Mm-hmm.
perfect? And that doesn't exist. That
Yeah.
is not a thing.
Yeah.
Everybody does not have the same frame of reference in terms of investments and what is too much and what is too little and what is expensive and what is cheap and what is valuable and what isn't. None of that exists. That is all so like just vastly different and so
Mm-hmm.
up for interpretation depending on person to person. So yeah, I feel like I don't know even where I wanted to go with that, but I just felt like it's important to say in the conversation at this point that there isn't just one answer to that. There isn't like $400 or 1250 or 1750
Yeah.
or 5,000 or 20,000. There isn't like a number that works, and that's why it requires you to look at what do I believe in? Like, what is the number
Mm-hmm.
that I believe people pay attention to? And what is the number that I believe I can sell? And what is the number that I believe I can deliver on? And that changes also as your business changes. So, where you start in your pricing and where you maybe move it to
Yeah.
also is a journey. And that, like, is kind of the cool part about it is that as you can see, as your beliefs change and as like your business changes and matures, that number also changes, which is cool.
Yeah. Because the more that you like, because so this 1750 number, as scary as it was for me, I just raised my prices again, if you will. I just raised my prices again for the first time like last month. And that, like a year ago, me could not have imagined ever raising my prices because that
Mhm.
initial 1750 was like the craziest number I'd ever thought of. And
Insanity.
then
Yes.
you think you build confidence in yourself as you, now that you begin to work with a few clients at that price or many
Mhm.
clients at that price, you realize, oh wow, the amount of value I'm actually giving to these people is worth way more than 1750. And you start getting into it and the results that they're getting and the lifelong education and the lifelong health, the future medical bills they're not going to pay because of this work is, yeah, paramount.
It really is. It is. And that is evident when you see those referrals coming in and realize, oh my gosh, yeah, the value clearly is here. And then that changes things too. So let's talk about that. So 1750 is your offer. You put it out there. It's absolute insanity. What happens?
So nothing happens, Andrea. Nothing happens for a long time. I I mean, even in the TPN, I think there were several times, probably on coaching calls, that I talked to you or somebody, and I'm like, I need to lower my price. I'm not, nobody's coming. You told me to decide and to stick to it, so I am. I'm not changing anything, but I still don't have any clients at this rate. And at this point, I'm still taking on these like smaller clients, like itty bitty prices, just to make myself feel better. But they weren't like the clients I wanted to work with. They weren't like the business I wanted. Um, and I just could not get peace about lowering it again. I'm like, I really, this is and we talk about mindset, we talk about making yourself feel confident in that price, whatever that number is. 1750, I felt confident in. I wasn't getting clients in it, but I knew that was those were the clients that would pay that were the ones that I wanted, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I knew that they would do what I was telling them to do, and they would have the right mindset and framework to change and to get better.
Mhm.
So I don't
It's
even
so
know.
fun because that is such a specific number, and, like, it's just so great to see how your brain drilled in on, like, this is that number. This is
This
when they
number,
pay this, they pay attention. I am
yeah,
sold on that, I'm confident in it. It's so great. I love it.
so sold. And it was like yeah, I just could not walk away from it. Um, and I think also in those moments when you feel that, like, no, this is it, ride that feeling, right? Like you got to like ride that feeling. Like that is you and your confidence and your mindset's in the right place there, and being like, this is what I'm worth. This is what my clients are worth. They're worth paying this to do it for themselves. Like there's a
Mhm.
lot of nuance there, but it all works. It works together synergistically.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know how much time went by. It felt like a lifetime. Many, many decades was what it felt like. But a lot of time where it was
We're recording
either,
this 1 year after this time, so yeah.
why don't you? It is 2025. It's not 2070. Um, that's what it felt like. And so much time to me went by. And then I remember I did get my first client, and it was just kind of like magic happened. It was, and I will say, like, one of the, so, okay, back up. A lot of people, especially me, I remember during this time, or I was constantly asking people on TPN, like, what did you do? Like, what's the magic? Like, how did you get, just because I knew if I could get that first, 2 or 3 clients, I could blow their mind and then they would refer me to the moon. But I'm
Mhm.
like, how do you get that first client? And it was always just the most random stuff, like, oh, I did a talk here, or it was on social media maybe, or I did, like, it was a friend, that a friend of a friend. So I'm like, okay, so in my head the thing I kept telling myself was, you just talk about your business constantly. um, and something that I really did with my, like, in my own mindset with this, was walking as if I was already very successful. And that was a really big thing for me, because I think it's easy to get mousy about your business when you don't have a lot of clients, or you don't even have any clients at all. Because
Yeah,
you're
and
like,
you're like, "I don't wanna talk about this because what if they ask me how many clients I have and I have to say 0? That'd be awkward." Like, all our brains come up with all of the reasons why we shouldn't actually tell
yeah,
people the words, "I can help you." Oh my gosh, so
that
scary.
imposter syndrome is so real, because I'm like, I
Yeah.
am a nutritionist. That's what I'm certified as. But I saying the words, it's like, ooh, but am I? Because I'm not really one until I have my first client. So I like had to really nip that in the bud real fast early on. And so when
Yeah.
I'm talking to people, when we're out at dinner parties or hanging out, it's like, what do you do? Oh, I'm a nutritionist. Oh, that's cool. What's your business name? Oh, Restored and Well. That's awesome. But how do you work with clients? And then it was just like, well, I already had an offer. It's not like I didn't. So tell them, this is how I work with clients. This is what I do. And it was through that type of interaction that I got my very first big girl. I called it my big girl client. Um, yeah, so I did that, and then
Just having those conversations, saying what
it
you did,
really was having
showing
the
up
conversation.
big. Yeah.
Yeah, and just walking in that, like, and it really shouldn't be that hard if we just lay down imposter syndrome a little bit. Like,
Mhm.
you can just think about, like, who is Allie, like, 3 years from now? I know it's inevitable. Like, I know I'm gonna succeed. So if I can just walk as that girl now, then that, um, energy you put out or whatever, people are gonna find that magnetic and wanna draw to that.
1,000%. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah, it's really your confidence. We talk about this in the TPN process in stage 1, where we were like really talking about confidence and creating your offer and creating your process. And then you go validate it and sell it afterwards. But first, you have to get clear on what are those things, make a few decisions. And one of the decisions you have to make is to decide that you are resourceful and that you are confident.
Mm,
And you have to decide to be that person before you have the evidence that you are that person.
you
Like, you have
actually,
to just decide, this is who I am, this is how I show up, even if nobody else has realized it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And you can
There's
also find evidence for that in other areas of your life too.
yeah.
Like, it's like, of course I'm confident. Of course I'm resourceful. Look at what I've done with the rest of my life. Look at this life I've built. Now I just have to transfer that into my business.
Yeah. And then the cool thing about that is also a process that you then bring to your clients. And
Right.
when you show up in that way, it is just innate that you model that and expect them to show up as confident and teach them how to show up as confident, even when you don't have the results yet. You don't have the evidence yet, but we're going to, it's inevitable. And that like bleeds into your whole client experience as well, which is magnetic.
Yeah.
So good. Okay. So you landed your first big fish, your first big girl client. Then
My
what?
big, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so from there, big girl clients, within, this part of my story well, within 4 months, I would say my business just began to I don't want to say explode. Explode sounds so crazy, but it multiplied very quickly.
Mhm.
So, and it was all, for the most part, word of mouth. I mean, it would be like, I kind of pictured it as like a few different lines. So I'd have like that first client, and now they're experiencing incredible results and feeling amazing. Their life is changing. And so then they tell their friends, and then, their friend signed with me. And then that friend told another friend, and their friend signed with me. Um, I did really put myself out there and did several talks in my community.
Mhm.
So at businesses, at
I
chiropractic.
remember us coaching before you did the first one of these, and you were so nervous, and it went so well. So Allie popped
Oh,
on a coaching call in TPN, and she was like, "Okay, I have this opportunity, and I need some coaching on it." And like, let's talk through that a little bit because that was a big one.
yeah. I don't even remember which one it was, but I know there was one I was
I
definitely
remember it being entrepreneur friend guy that was having you come to his company.
Yep, that was it. So hilariously now, like these people are like some of our best friends, which is so great. But yeah, I had worked with him and his wife as a client, and they he wanted me to come speak at his business. So I think I was nervous because we were so close to them. Like it was like a friend.
Mhm.
And I think it's harder talking to people that you're closer with than strangers, right? So it
Yeah,
was
in some
nerve
ways, I think it can be pros and
for me.
cons
It
to both.
definitely is.
Okay.
So I put together like this whole presentation, and really like right beforehand, for me at least, whenever I'm public speaking, like everything kind of melts away. Most of the nerves are like a week beforehand, and it went splendidly, like splendidly. And I had a very big month after that. Actually, that was a really good talk. Yeah,
It was a really good time. A lot of clients came from that talk. Yes.
I did. I had a lot of clients. That was probably one of my bigger months I actually had, was after this one talk, and a lot of those clients also had such incredible results that they're referring now too. And so the snowball effect is very real, that as long as I think you can really focus on over delivering for your clients. And that was
Mhm.
something that I really, really wanted. I would tell my husband all the time, like, the client experience is got to be like the most important part to me, and that they just think I would I would pay this 10 times over to get it again. Like,
Mhm.
and there's a lot you can do in that client experience to make somebody say that. Um, and I have had many clients say that. So I think
Yes,
that
you
client
have. Yes, you
experience,
have.
and then they're going to tell all their friends. So that snowball experience is key. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that you really innately do this. Like you just see, obviously I'm not in your client sessions, but I just know from talking to you and the way that you talk about this, I imagine that you're just very, like, this is very second nature to you, where you remind people that they're getting 10x the investment. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure that you weave that in. I'm sure that they don't just independently come to that conclusion. I'm sure that you're like reminding them along the way of how valuable this is and how valuable the transformation is that they're making in their life and the investments in their health and where that like, you know, pours out in other areas too. I'm sure that you're masterful
Yeah.
at that.
And well, we talk about why a lot, like their why, like why,
Mm,
very from the beginning, why are you doing this? And so you're so right that throughout this 3 month, 6 month, 9 month journey together, I love to be like, remember where you were, like remember the beginning when you told me like you did not think at 60 you'd be playing with your kids. Like, that's crazy. So what about now? Like, do you think you're going to be 60 playing with your kids? And they're like, yeah. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be 80, running around and reminding people like, remember where you were and now you're here. And yeah, it's so fantastic.
Okay, so I love that you just casually are like, yeah, like 6 months, 9 months later. Let's talk about that a little bit because these clients do come in for 3 months, but they renew because
Yeah,
of this over deliver experience and because of the results that they're getting and because they can't imagine not continuing on the journey. So let's talk about that a little bit. Was that always part of your plan? That 3 months was a jumping off point? Let's talk through the offer. I know people are going to be like, wait, what?
absolutely. Yeah. And renewal, I think for me um, is how, how it should be. Is that so simple to say? Like, at least maybe for my clientele in particular, they need more than 3 months. Like
Mhm.
3 months is like, a lot of times what I'll say to my clients is, how long did it take you to get to this point? 27 years, 50 years? 3 months will get us totally, like, you are going to see incredible results at the end of 3 months. You're going to feel fantastic. But imagine if we had 6 months, 9 months to keep working through this process, because I will walk them through, we have like the Restored and Well roadmap. So we start, with digestion and we go all the way through to like liver support, let's say, like that's the end of the journey. But there's all this stuff we go in the middle. And I'm like, realistically, we need 3 months to address your digestion and some of your blood sugar regulation.
Mhm.
You're going to feel fantastic after that. But imagine if we could get 6 months, 9 months through this journey. And not everybody's going to need 9 months. I'll clarify that. But if we could get to 9 months and you graduate out of this program, you are going to feel literally like a brand new person. And I want that for you so bad. So I
Yes,
think,
I'm sold. I'm like watching you. I'm like, yes, yes, I want that. I want every single part of that. But I love that you're bringing this up. It's how you sell it in the beginning. I think a lot of people promise such huge results in their
mm,
initial package with clients out of, I mean, and some people do get those amazing results. And I don't think that you should minimize the results that people get, but I think that then they're like, well, how could I possibly have them renew? Because they're supposed to be a new
right,
person now. And like, well, let's not sell it that way. Let's sell it as like, this is going to be incredible. And if you choose to move forward after that, I absolutely will continue to support you. But let's focus on this
right,
first, which you
right.
do, but you also leave it open of like, and there's also more. Like, let's blow your mind on this, and then you're going to be amazed at what's even possible. Can't wait to have that conversation. And I think you just do that really well. Leave the door open, and of course, you must do it well because they renew like crazy, like
Yeah.
insanely. Yeah. Okay.
And,
So,
and yeah.
yeah, jam on that a little bit.
I
Go
was
ahead.
just going to say in that process too, just like this is almost like a strategy thing, but the it doesn't always have to be, and this is just in my business, but we don't always renew the same exact 1750 either. Like, there's only one other way I do it, but we also have like one smaller where it's just every other week instead of every
Mhm.
week. And I think I'll bring that up at the beginning too. Like, depending on where you're at the end of 3 months, um, we could also always meet every other week. We could meet every week, but we're going to figure that out when we get there. And that helps set their expectations of course, I'm going to renew, but there's an
Mhm.
option that it could not be as much of a financial investment, depending on how invested I am in this 3 months to get the results. Yeah.
Yes, it's so good. It's so good. And it also just leaves open the time frame. So they're
Mm,
not so panicked on, oh my gosh, it's not going fast enough. It's not going fast enough. I'm not maximizing my time. All of those thoughts too. I love it. Absolutely love it. So you said a second ago, you said, like the client experience is so important. I spend a lot of time thinking about how do I over deliver to them? How do I do that? So what, like anything come up for you that you have decided over the last year and added to the offer as an over deliver that's really worked? Let's like get a little tactical if we can.
yeah. I am naturally a very relational person. And so the way that I see over delivery, especially like in Restored and Well, is just absolute 100% connection with your client over getting them out of the pain they're currently in. We're human. We want connection. We want somebody to care for us and to know that somebody's there to walk us through the process. When I was sick, the thing I used to tell my husband is I just want somebody to take my hand and guide me out of this trench. And there's no light at the end of the tunnel. I don't even know which way is up. Like I can't get out. And so that's language we use a lot in Restored and Well of like, Restored and Well as a team, we're here to hold your hand and guide you out of this process. And so whatever that looks like we're here to support you. At the same time, I can't do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I think there's just in the over delivery to me, in just a very maybe vague way of speaking about it, is meeting your client where they're at and just being in that connection and that support for them throughout the entire process. That's one thing for sure. And I would say that is, you do have to find boundaries there, because I think it can be easy to overcommit to the emotional support of your client. But that boundaries also can come somewhat naturally to me. So I think there's like that balance of, you can talk to me during these hours, but during these hours, like I'm here to support you. And I think this is also really key. Let me just say this is, if I would have offered that same level of like emotional support to my $400 clients, I think it could have been abused. People who are paying me the right price, they don't ever abuse that. Like I've never ever had a client over ask in that way, like text me too often or ask for too much support, or to be a, burden is such a horrible word, but just to cross that line, like that's never happened. And they just feel supported and lifted up because there's that mutual respect, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
I think that's so good, because I would imagine people are listening to this and thinking like, well, how could you possibly be super available and be, like make that work without getting taken advantage of? And so they wouldn't do that over deliver, or they wouldn't go like a little bit further with the client and make themselves available in that way. And that's just one example of how you can do that.
Yeah.
But it's coming from a place of like solving a problem that doesn't even exist yet. Like you said, like it's never happened. Nobody's ever abused it. You don't have to address that because it hasn't been a problem. But imagine if you had never tried. Imagine if you had never like put yourself out there in that way to support them like that, like how different the experience would be. I imagine maybe less referrals, maybe less follow through. I don't know what that looks like either, but I think that we can really get into, I got to make sure that I never have X happen. So I'm just like solving a problem that doesn't even exist yet, because we don't even have that problem, but I got to make sure I never get to that point, and being I think maybe hyper protective of ourselves and our energy and our time, which can be important too. I'm all about the boundaries. So I love that you said that, but also like, I do believe people want people, and I do believe that people are investing in having somebody to help them. It's
They
not
just
that
want
information isn't available anymore. All the information is out there. People can get the information. They can go into ChatGPT and get any information they want. The reason that they hire you is to help with the implementation and have the support
yes.
and have the human touch and have, the resource available. So being a little bit more available, I think, is more important than ever right now. That's something I've been thinking about a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is so key. We live in a really weird time right now, as you know, Andrea, with
Thank you.
ChatGPT. People can just, ChatGPT is doing everybody's jobs. Like there's so many jobs out there that are just, somebody can absolutely plug in their symptoms to Grok Doc or ChatGPT and figure out, a whole protocol for them.
Yeah.
Not that it's correct,
But yeah,
just
they are doing that, and it's not going well, but
medical
yes.
advice. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
I'm way more qualified. But the difference that we provide as practitioners is that high touch one-on-one. It's the empathy. It's the one-on-one calls where I'm like, I'm so sorry you went through that. Can you tell me more? It's the, I'm here, or you can do it. You're going to do incredible. We're talking about mindset here. Doing thought models with my clients, which I learned from TPN. Like now I'm doing it with my clients.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the difference.
It really is. It really is. And that's not to say that working one-on-one with clients is the only way, because you can incorporate that in different ways, even if you're working with groups or even if you're supporting clients in a different way. But gosh, I just think that is the easiest way to go, especially right now. It's like offer that one-on-one support. You said before that when you were sick, you didn't know that the person existed like you are that could help you. I remember having that exact same thought. I was like, I didn't know it was an option to have a person that did this. People say this to me all the time too. They're like, where's that underground network of like people that you know? How do I get into that underground network? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you mean the underground network that is wishing that they had clients?
Right. Yeah, and that is such an important thing to talk about because that is one of my driving forces. Because the fact that I remember like Googling it, like being like, is there someone out there? Help me. And when you're at a point in your business where you have 0 clients, you want so badly to help people, everything's confusing and hazy, and you're like, should I even do this anymore? I remember thinking, there were tears. I'm sure many of the people listening to this have been in tears before over just wanting your business to get off the ground, wanting to help people. And I remember thinking to myself, I have to keep going for the clients I know I'm going to help. It's not about me. Like, it's not about me anymore. This isn't about me succeeding or me having this although that's a great side effect. Um, I am sticking to this every day to get that first client because I know that they need me. Like, I know they need my help so bad, and that they're going to feel incredible when I work with them. And I have to do it for them, and I have to show up for them. And that is a very important, I think, critical paradigm shift because it's not about you. You're not building this business. I mean, again, of course, it is for you, but ultimately, that calling, that drive to do this is because other people need you to do it for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm thinking about a coaching call a couple months ago in TPN where I coached someone on this, and she was talking about how, like, her belief in her offer. I swear I have a point here. This is going to seem unrelated, but it all comes back. She was talking about her belief in her offer, and she was talking about selling, and she was talking, we were having the exact same conversation about the people need you, like being in service of people versus service of yourself, and how differently you show up when you truly are unattached to your own results and you're thinking about how can I
Mm,
help this person, like, just honestly, how can I help this person? Can I help this person? And if so, how can I help this person?
yeah.
And then somebody else was in the chat. So on live coaching calls in the Profitable Nutritionist program, I'll be coaching somebody, or a support coach will be coaching somebody, but then in the chat, oftentimes people are, they're not on the screen, but they're like piping in with, hey, I have a resource for that, or this is how I handle that. There's lots of conversation going on. And somebody was in the chat and she was saying, oh my gosh, I started closing all of my sales calls that I have after a client session. And she's like, it's the wildest thing. But I have a client session with this particular client. She's like, actually, there's a few of them, but I'm thinking of this one particular client that is getting the most amazing results. And
Yeah.
so I am on the call with her. She's killing it. We're celebrating. We're talking about these results she's getting. And then I have calls after that because that's just kind of how the schedule has aligned. And she's like, every single one of those 100% I close because my
Yeah.
belief is so high in what is
Wow.
possible for them, because I just got off a call with somebody that I know is getting those results. And so I am thinking about, like, yes, this is possible for you. Yes. Like,
Yeah.
you literally have to. And when your belief is so high like that, of course you sell differently. And of
Yeah.
course, like, that
Absolutely.
is magnetic, but kind of, I don't know. It's something you said there made me think, like, that was a valuable share just about
Yeah.
our energy, and our conviction and our service of others. Super important.
So good. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about time, because I know you work 100 hours per week. Just kidding. Just
I
kidding.
don't. I don't. I
So let's
won't.
talk about that a little bit. Speaking of boundaries, like, how has this, you're going to have to tell people a little bit about your schedule and your boundaries around that. But then also, like, how does that fit into to how you've structured your business too? I bet people have questions about that.
Yeah. She teases me because I I talk so
I
often.
love that you don't work 100 hours a week. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. I have pretty strong boundaries over my time. I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old who are home with me. Um, and we start homeschooling in the fall, and I'm in school too. So, um, with all of those things, one of the first things I remember asking Andrea, we had like it was maybe a coaching call or something, and I had said, like, do you think I can succeed in this business working 20 hours a week because that's all I'm willing to commit to it? And she was like, 100%. I'm like, no, but for real. Like, don't lie to me. Don't sugarcoat it. And she's like, yes, you can. Because I think I look at colleagues, a lot of colleagues around me, and they're putting in 70, 60, 50 crazy amounts of hours per week, and they're being successful. That's just not realistic for me at this
Mhm.
point in my life. And I think being really real and just like you often say, Andrea, like liking your reasons for it. I love my reasons for it, and I'm not going to change. Like, I work 20 hours a week. That's not including school, but those are restored and well hours. And I like my reasons for that. I want to be around my kids. I want to be playing. I want to go on play dates. I want to go on field trips. And all of that said, I have had to be very efficient. That's probably the best word for it. Very efficient, very organized in how I run my business in order to be willing to stick to those hours. So
Yeah,
yeah,
totally. I remember us talking about this. I think that this was on a call prior to you joining the mastermind where we were
yeah,
chatting about if that was a good next step. It is absolutely possible to grow your business at 20 hours a week. I will say a caveat to that is it doesn't mean that your business only works 20 hours a week, but
absolutely.
you work 20 hours a week. So what like getting your business going, getting your pipeline full of clients, serving those clients, that's plenty of time. But when we
Yeah.
were having this conversation, as I remember it, you're like, but can I actually like grow and scale this business? Can I grow it? I can maintain it at this level, but can I grow it with that? And I think my answer was like, yes, you can, but we're going to have systems in place so
Right.
that your business it can work more than 20 hours a week, which to do a callback on all of our negativity on AI and everything, that is really possible now, even without hiring a bunch of people. Before it was like, yeah, we're going to streamline and scale your business by leveraging other people's times, and you're going to have people that come and support you,
Mhm.
and that is also true. But wow, it's getting like even crazier than that because you can have
Yeah.
automated systems
Yeah.
that never take a vacation or a sick day and work 24 hours a day that can help do that. So yeah,
Yeah.
these are definitely conversations that we're having a lot about
Yeah.
efficiency. And what a crazy time that we are living in, right?
So crazy.
It
When I
is
first
crazy.
talked to Andrea about even scaling my business, I was running every single part of my business off of pen and paper. And I think she almost dropped dead. She didn't, but she did. Her eyes did widen a little bit. You maintained your composure really well, I will
Thank
say.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
I was like,
I
yeah,
I
everything's
was
gonna be
it, my
fine.
internal thoughts were like, "Oh, this is going to be an adjustment. Okay. This is going to be an adjustment."
Yeah, so basically, yeah, this entire year, working on has just been operations and scaling and all of that. So, yeah,
Getting systems in place so others can
getting
help you.
getting
Yeah.
it off of my notebook and paper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which has been big
yeah.
and important. I love it. Okay. So, what would you say to someone that is in that stage? This is what we kind of thought of before we got. I mean, obviously, your business is doing really well right now.
Yeah,
You're serving all the clients. She actually has a wait list, and the quote unquote problem that you're solving right now is how do I serve these clients, let them pay right away, and have other people come in and serve these clients at the level and the standard that I have set in my business so that I'm not working 20 hours a week or more than 20 hours a week. So that is happening. That's going strong. The referrals are great. It's not like I mean, you're not running ads, you're not an Instagram influencer by any means. This is
no.
strictly referral based because
Mhm.
your clients are getting amazing results and they're talking about it. So,
Yeah.
um, now I wonder what would you say to that past version of you a year ago or a year and a half ago that was just trying to get the first two or three clients? Like, what do you have to say to that person?
So many things I'd love to say to that girl. The first thing would just be I've already touched on it, but I will say it again, which was continuing every day when you wake up and nothing's working according to you. Nothing's working. Um, that you are doing it not for yourself, but you're doing it for those future clients that need you.
Mhm.
I think taking focus off of yourself and putting that on the other people that you're doing it for is just also how we're wired as humans. Like when we begin to take things off of ourselves and we're working for someone, we're doing it for this greater good. It helps to motivate us.
Mhm.
Um, I also think that I would tell myself, it's not going to look the way that you think it's going to look. um, because I really, really thought that clients would just kind of come. I don't know, Andrea. I really thought that they would just kind of be there, and you have to go out into the world and actually proclaim your business, and like that is how the clients started coming in for me. I actually had to go be nervous at a chiropractor's office with, 6 people at this little presentation I'm doing, and talk talk about how I help people. I had to go to yoga studios and do these little events, and it's like, it's scary, but I really, and I'm harping on this a lot, but in that fear, like in that feeling of like, oh, why am I doing this? This hurts. Like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, oh, but like, I always just had to think, they need me. Like, they need my help. Because I think when you have that personal story that really drives you,
Mhm.
um, I just kept imagining myself like sick on the floor with no energy. And I couldn't even hold my own son because I was so sick. And no other Allies were out there proclaiming their business loud enough that I could hear it. And if
Mhm.
I could have just heard about a business like this, my healing journey would have looked completely different, and I could have not suffered as much. So I think about those people out there that need that. And it's just the difference between you, listener, getting out there and proclaiming your business and making sure that people know what you do and why you do it and who you help. Yeah.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, having conversations, lots of conversations, even if they don't seem fruitful in the moment.
Right. You're planting seeds everywhere. And the more that people, and more that you walk as that woman that's already successful too, like, oh, I run this business, Restored and Well, and the way that I work with clients is XYZ, making it, sound real nice, then they also have that in their head. So when they are talking to their aunt or their uncle or their friend, oh, I just talked with this girl. She actually works with people just like that. Let me send you her number.
Yeah.
Um, that's just how it happens. I think I thought it was going to be this magical like Instagram blow up where all of a sudden I have 10 million followers and
Mhm.
everything just magically happens, but it really is just putting in the work at the beginning.
And
And that,
how tragic would it be if you did? If you went from no confidence, no, didn't have that full belief, and then magically had 10,000 followers overnight, and then you're expected to show up and hold space for that amount of people and like that would be a completely different meltdown. I think like
yeah,
God has such a good plan for like what,
yeah,
what our capacity is at any stage of the game,
yeah.
because I see that too. People are like, oh my gosh, that's the way. I have to have a huge audience, have to build the audience first. It's like, but you don't, like, just imagine if you had that big audience and the responsibility of that, you couldn't handle it right now. You couldn't handle it.
I mean, the phases are so, that is such a good point because the phases are so important. Like, I think that's why I came to you even about the mastermind, because like, even just with the, like last year I had like, this big month where I got like just so many clients all at once, and I was working off of pen and paper, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so I'm like talking to Andrea, like, you have to help me. But this is why we work in phases. And like now, it's like calmed down, but it's calmed down to a point where now I have more operations set up, and I actually am at a point now where I could handle more clients. But you you don't want 30 clients all at once in one
Mhm.
day. Like, you want it to be this process, and especially when you have like the first client, the second client, the third client, your very first couple, you're going to learn so much in practice because you think things are going to go a certain way when you work with a client, and then you actually get into the process and the nitty gritty of the weekly meetings of their highs and lows, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to change so much about the way I do things. Like, this needs to change, this part needs to change. And then now you get to take that, slightly reformed package and use that for the next client. And then it just continues to get better and better. So it is just a journey. And you just, dear listener, dear reader, please, 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 just,
Dear blog subscriber.
dear, dear diary, dear blog subscriber, you just, you have to wake up tomorrow and you just have to do it. You just have to keep going. Like, at this point, I know, like, if I could past Allie, no clients, like, you just wake up the next day and you keep doing what you know is going to work, and it will eventually work. Like, it
Mhm.
will. As long as you are continuing to talk about your business and you're walking in the woman that you know you should be 3 years from now, all of those things will just attract the right clients to you eventually.
Eventually, it will. It will. And it'll probably be in the most surprising ways and maybe even a really surprising cadence that it's like, oh my gosh,
Oh,
nothing was happening. And then it just all happens at once. And you like, don't be open for that magic too.
absolutely.
So good.
Yes.
Okay. So how do people find you? Give a little commercial for
Yeah.
yourself. Where do they find
Hi.
you? And what kind of clients should they send your way?
Absolutely. So here's my commercial. I'm Allie Jones, and you can find me at restoredandwell.com. You can find me on Instagram at restoredandwell. And oh, favorite types of clients, particularly lately, been working with a lot of like professionals. So people who are very overworked, people who are busy. Give me your busy people. I work really, really well with them in getting their health and their wellness on track, getting the right habits, mindsets in place. Another passion for me is working with mamas. So, moms that have had children in the last 5 years are struggling with fatigue, anxiety, weight gain, all of that. Those are my people. So,
Love
those particular,
it.
yeah,
Thank you for sharing today. Thanks for all of the wisdom. I can't wait to do a check in on this episode in the future and then
yes,
update everyone on how things are going in your business. But this was
yeah.
so valuable that I've really been looking forward to this because I knew that you had a lot to share about being in the doldrums when when it doesn't feel like it's working. And I think that's a conversation that needs to be had more often.
Should we just close this podcast with a Finding Nemo quote and just say, "Just keep swimming"?
Just keep swimming. Says the mom with the 5-year-old. I remember those days. And we
Oh, I
still, as
watched
a
it
family, say
yesterday.
that.
I watched it yesterday, so it's on my mind. Just keep swimming. You got this. Thank you for having me, Andrea.
So good. So good. So there you have it, my friend. Straight from the horse's mouth, Allie's story from going from, oh my gosh, nobody is listening, it's crickets out there, no clients, to being fully booked, building out quite a long wait list, and now bringing on other practitioners to help serve her clients so she can maintain those time boundaries within her own schedule and still help all of the people and make money in her business, which is the perfect storm. So if you want to know how Allie did that, and if you would like help in coaching, just like we talked about in this episode, where she gets actual coaching when she has actual questions and needs it, you need to join the Profitable Nutritionist program. That is the step-by-step process from going from I have no idea what my offer is. I don't know who I'm serving. I don't know what the process is that I'm going to bring them through. Oh my gosh, how the heck do I sell this? How do I serve these people? All of that, including how to manage your time, how to set boundaries with clients, how to conduct a sales call. If you've never even done a sales call before, you don't know how to do that. All of this is included in the curriculum of the Profitable Nutritionist program. And we bring you through coaching every single week when you need it to help you execute on that process. So we do live coaching calls every single week where you can jump on, like Allie has done many times, ask questions, get coaching, and get help moving forward. So you actually do help the people. So you actually do create the business that you want and serve them at a high level. Again, we would love to help you with that inside the Profitable Nutritionist program. So in the description, you will get a link to get all of the details of the program. You will also see a link to book a short call. The reason that I want to call that out is because you might not know, what is this call? What are we going to do on the call? Well, honestly, you and I are going to get on a short 20-minute call together, and you can ask any questions you have about the program, but also I'm going to ask you some questions about you and your business, and I will give you a very honest assessment of if we can help you in the program and if that is a good next step for you. So first step would be go look at the program details page. If you feel like you're ready to get started, enrollment is open. You can jump in right now and get started in the program. We can literally be helping you within an hour from now. Or if you would like to book a call first and get all of your questions answered, make sure you're a good fit, totally understand that. There is a link in the description as well to book a call. All that to say, I would love to help you in continuing or even starting to grow your business step by step, which we have a very well-oiled machine to help you do. And all of that is in the Profitable Nutritionist program, link in the description.